So the New York Times dropped a bombshell report this morning. Uh, and interestingly enough, it wasn't actually with a lot of fanfare, but it basically hints at the possibility that the government may have materials from crashed UFOs. Hmm, fascinating. So now, another part of this report mainly deals with the existence of a task force that is located inside of the Office of Naval Intelligence. Now, their role apparently is to investigate strange sightings made by military pilots. And again, if there was any crashes, which again are not confirmed, that they would collect materials from off world. So now the report said the program is called the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. And basically, their mission was to standardize collection and reporting of sightings of unexplained aerial vehicles. And by the way, this program is to report at least some of its findings to the public within 180 days after passage of the Intelligence Authorization Act. So now, of course, the Pentagon is only saying the program's focus is on discovering whether another country, like, for example, Russia, China, is using what they call breakout aviation technology that could threaten the U.S. Okay, fair enough. Now, other people are thinking maybe they'll release information about aliens. So, look, I think this is a big reveal, right? They wouldn't even admit before that this was a thing, that they were actually doing anything, and that they were actually doing investigations. In fact, this was a secret for years. And this was actually created back in 2007, the entire program. According to the Times, it started under the Defense Intelligence Agency. It was then placed within the Office of the Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, which remains responsible for oversight. Now, its coordination with the intelligence community will be carried out by the Office of Naval Intelligence, as described back in the 2017 Senate budget bill. And so, look, again, this has been around for a while, but now they're finally admitting it. Like, yes, we've been looking for UFOs. We lied. We said we weren't looking for it before. Now we admit that, yeah, we are. And that, of course, coincides with the recent release of these videos, which that, look, that's sidebar, that screenshot, that's from one of the videos that was released prior by independent sources and then corroborated by the Pentagon. And so there it is. So now, let me tell you a little bit more about what we know about the program. For more than a decade, according to the Times, the Pentagon program has been conducting classified briefings for congressional committees, aerospace company executives, and other government officials, according to interviews with program participants and unclassified briefing documents. One of those briefings, and I understand a lot of this is classified right now, but they allegedly talked about retrieved material from crashes. So now I want to go to Eric W. Davis, right? So Eric W. Davis is an astrophysicist who worked as a subcontractor and then a consultant for the Pentagon UFO program since 2007. He testified that in some cases, examination of materials had failed to determine their source and led him to conclude that we couldn't, quote, make it ourselves. Davis now works for an aerospace corporation, which is a defense contractor, and he said that he gave a classified briefing to a Defense Department agency as recently as March about possible retrievals from off-world vehicles not made on this Earth. Fascinating. Mr. Reid, the former Democratic senator from Nevada who pushed for the funding of this program when he was majority leader, probably the one thing that I agree with that he did, said he believes that crashes of objects of unknown origin may have occurred and that any retrieved materials should be studied. And I agree with that. He said, quote, after looking into this, I came to the conclusion that there were reports, some were substantive, some not so substantive, that there were actual materials that the government and the private sector had in their possession, Reid said in an interview. I may not be a fan, of course, of Mr. Reid's politics, but look, he's a member of the UFO community and has actually tried to push for more study into the basics of aliens and whether or not there have been crashes and materials or or even like entire spaceships that have been recovered by the US government. That's kind of awesome. I do appreciate him for that, at least. Don't necessarily appreciate him what he did to Bernie Sanders in Nevada back in 2016. But, I can let it go if he proves that they're aliens. I'm just saying. Very interesting. And look, again, this year has been pretty interesting for UFO stuff. I mean, the Pentagon, as I mentioned earlier, released video of UFO encounters. Yes, that basically corroborates that they did indeed capture this video, that it is legitimate, that what we were looking at in the video could not be explained by anyone. And now, of course, a lot of people, and I'm seeing this in my chat here, they're like, oh, that's neat. But we already kind of knew this. Oh, all right. Well, look, we live in insane times too, so it makes sense that a lot of people are like, yeah, of course. Yeah, most likely we do have, other species that are, around out there. And yeah, it's a fairly good chance that we have, materials that are from another civilization. Okay. Now, look, I don't know if the government has a crashed alien ship or not. You'd think that if we did, and if Donald Trump knew about it, then he would tell us. Why? Because the man can't keep his mouth shut. Of course, right? So either either it didn't happen, or they're not telling Donald Trump, which would be, of course, the smart thing to do. And I would actually believe that it would be the latter, right? Because Donald Trump can't keep anything to himself. He just can't. And so as far as what I believe, yeah, I think that there are aliens, of course. It would be asinine to believe that in all the space, all the gigantic, ness of the universe, that we would be the only intelligent species. Like, dumb. And I'm not saying that there has to be intelligent species out there that are alive. There could be civilizations that have lived, grown, and destroyed, most likely destroyed themselves or destroyed by a cosmic event, which could explain why we don't necessarily see a lot of them. The universe has been around for a very, very long time. And so it's, when you look at how long we've been on the earth as human beings, it's a few 100,000 years, and how long the earth's been around. I mean, and we have already, technology that'll take us to start technology and allow me, to talk to people in hundreds of miles, thousands of miles away. I mean, is it any, how could you believe that we couldn't have intelligent civilizations out there somewhere? I mean, I don't think that we're alone, but as far as the question of, are they coming here? Again, I don't really know. I can't answer that question, right? Maybe we're on an interplanetary highway. Who knows, right? Maybe sometimes they do crash here. I don't have any idea, but I admit I have seen stuff that I can't explain. Was it aliens? I don't know. But it did look like, it didn't look like anything that I've ever seen before and I've ever seen since. And so I really don't know. I'm going to kind of leave it at that, but I think it's exciting. And here's the other thing, right? So if some people are correct, right, the UFO people, and that this is going to lead to a bigger disclosure, right? Now would be a good time. I mean, a lot of people are actually really comfortable with the idea of not only aliens existing, but also having visited the United States before. I mean, according to an Ipsos poll released in January of this year, 57% of Americans already say that they believe in intelligent life exists on another planet. 66% of Americans say that they believe that there's life out in the universe, whether it's intelligent or not. And then 45%, less than half, say they believe the UFOs have already visited Earth. And so, yeah, I think it's a reflection of the times. People are more accepting of this idea. And so who knows, maybe this is the government being a little bit more transparent about it because there's no more fear of a gigantic mass panic like there was before. I don't necessarily know. The one thing I can say, though, is that I just hope that if one does actually come here and land, out in the open that they don't ask anyone to take them to our leader. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.